How much fraud are you really missing? Here's a fact. Even the best fraud teams are losing the battle, not to criminals, but to their own outdated tools. Hello and welcome. If you want to learn how leading companies are using AI to slash review times by up to 90%, save millions, and keep one step ahead of the next big scam, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll know how to put these tools to work in your own organizations. No PhD required. Let's break down what a typical fraud investigation looks like, step by step. First, the analyst reviews an alert for a suspicious trade or possible identity fraud. Next, they go into several databases to pull account information, look up trade history, and dig out any call transcript that might exist for that customer. Then they have to use outside tools like websites for IP lookups or phone number verification APIs. It's all manual and it all takes time. If the alert is complicated, the analyst might search for guidance in internal SOP documents or compliance bulletins, often hidden in shared folders or buried in emails. Finally, after all that, they have to piece everything together, make a decision, and write up a case report. With all those steps, it's easy for things to get missed. So what's really the biggest pain point? It's data. Data is everywhere. Analysts have to log into different systems, copy and paste details, and keep track of a dozen tabs just to get a complete picture. Manual research burns hours every single day. Alert fatigue is real. Many teams have to review hundreds of alerts a day. Most turn out to be false alarms, but they all take time. Errors happen, mistakes that can cost real money or lead to compliance issues. Here's a hard truth. Businesses actually lose more money to false positives, legitimate transactions wrongly flagged, than to fraud itself. And if you fall behind, customer trust is at risk. This is why something has to change. Now imagine this, an autonomous agent that does all this for you. The agent instantly pulls all alert details, account data, transcript, and trade history, no matter where it lives. It automatically calls external data sources for IP address and phone verification, so nothing gets missed. If you need to check policies or recent bulletins, the agent searches those documents with AI and gives you an instant answer. And here's the kicker. It uses deep reasoning AI to connect the dots, spot complex patterns, and even drafts a comprehensive risk assessment for you in seconds. All of this orchestrated on a secure low-code platform with full audit and compliance baked in. You just ask and the agent does the heavy lifting. Let's quickly talk about the technology powering all this. We are using Copilot Studio, part of Microsoft Power Platform. This lets you build and deploy agents with low code fast. The agent connects to all your internal tables in Dataverse, alert, trade, accounts, and call transcript. Dataverse is Microsoft's secure cloud data platform, purpose-built for business apps and automation. The agent can also call external data sources for things like IP lookup and phone number checks, and can even pull guidance from internal SOPs and bulletins stored in SharePoint. For intelligence, we use the GPT-5 Auto, the latest offering from OpenAI as of August 2025, that seamlessly switches from chat to reasoning based on the nature of the task or problem it's trying to solve. And finally, all of this runs on Azure, which means enterprise-grade security, compliance, and governance are built right in. Let's dive into the demo. I'll start by showing you how the main agent is set up in Copilot Studio and introduce the child agent it uses behind the scenes. First, let's look at the agent's structure. You will see that the agent actually leverages two specialized child agents, the IP lookup agent and the phone validation agent. These child agents handle external verification tasks automatically, so the analyst never has to leave the main workflow. Let's click into the IP lookup agent first. Here you will notice clear instructions guiding the agent to process and check IP address for suspicious activity. This agent is connected to an external IP lookup API, which provides real-time data about the IP address in question. such as its risk, reputation, and location. Now back in the agent tab, let's click into the validate phone number agent. Similar to the IP agent, this child agent is set up with tailored instructions to verify customer phone numbers. It connects to an external phone number verification API, instantly checking if the phone number is valid, high risk, or linked to fraud. By setting up these child agents, we make sure the main agent can delegate specialized verification tasks and keep the workflow seamless. Now let's move over to the Tools tab. Here you'll see a complete list of all the tools available to the agent and its child agents. This makes it easy to check which tools are enabled, which agent they are linked to, and exactly how each tool is triggered during a fraud investigation. Let's click into the Dataverse MCP Server tool. This is one of the most powerful tools our agent uses. The Dataverse MCP Server gives the agent access to a suite of core functions, including the ability to list and describe tables, read data, create record, and even update existing records directly within Dataverse. So what exactly is an MCP server and why does it matter? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. An MCP server acts as a middleware layer between your AI agents and various data sources or tools. It standardizes how agents interact with databases, APIs, and other resources, providing a unified way for agents to access, query, and manipulate information as needed for their tasks. If you want to learn more about MCP, I'll provide some links in the description below. And if you'd like to see a dedicated in-depth video on MCP, let me know in the comments. So by leveraging the tools, you are giving your agent the real power to automate complex workflows and keep everything up to date, seamless, and securely. Now let's take a look at the Knowledge tab. Here you'll see our SharePoint knowledge source called SOPs and Bulletins. This connects the agent directly to your official standard operating procedures and fraud bulletins, all stored in SharePoint for easy management and updates. Let's click into this knowledge source. You'll notice it's marked as an official source. This means the agent can reference this information as authoritative and will call it out as such when responding to a user, giving analysts extra confidence that the answers are based on vetted company policy. It gets even better. This agent is also enabled with tenant graph grounding and semantic search. What does that mean? The agent can understand context, relationships, and meanings across your data, not just keywords. The result is much richer, more relevant search responses, something you'll see in action later in the demo. Now let's click on the Overview tab. Right at the top, you'll see that orchestration is enabled. This allows the agent to determine how best to respond to users and events, autonomously deciding which data source, tools, or child agents to call for each request. You will also notice the agent is using the GPT-5 Auto model, the latest offering from OpenAI as of August 2025, which seamlessly switches between chat and reasoning modes based on the nature of the task or problem it's solving. Here are the detailed mission, principles, capabilities, and instructions the model follows. I'll share a link to these instructions in the description below so you can take a closer look later. These tell the agent exactly how to handle fraud research tasks, querying Dataverse tables with precise schemas, enforcing strict update rules, consulting the SharePoint SOPs and bulletins, invoking the IP lookup or phone validator agents when needed, and ensuring responses are always fact-based and compliant. Scrolling further down, you'll see the web search is disabled. This ensures the agent is fully grounded in our own trusted data sources rather than pulling unverified information from the internet. Finally, the Overview tab also references the other sections we have already explored in detail, the Knowledge tab, the Tools tab, and the Agents section, tying the entire setup together for a complete, secure, and highly capable fraud research assistant. Before we jump into the specific demonstration, I wanted to give you a quick introduction to the kinds of scenarios this agent can handle. While it's capable of answering quick, straightforward questions, I'll be focusing on complex, multi-step use cases that truly showcases its autonomous nature, where it gathers data from multiple sources, calls specialized tools and applies deep reasoning and delivers fact-based conclusion without human intervention. In the first scenario, I'll give the agent a complex multi-part instruction. For a specific trade alert, it should gather all relevant details, leverage the appropriate tools, and then walk through its reasoning step by step to explain whether the trade should be escalated or not. The agent successfully performed a thorough step-by-step analysis. It checked the trade amount against the actual account balance, verified the instrument and order type in relation to historical activity, and conducted a channel and device step analysis. It also looked for any fraud or AML indicators and checked policy thresholds. After completing these checks, it concluded that this was a benign trade requiring no escalation. Now let's quickly look at the activity map to see how the agent determined its course of action. It used the MCP server tool to run several queries, including querying the trade alert table, the client account table for client details, and trade history table for historical information. It also performed an IP lookup to verify if the IP address was valid and not using a proxy. Finally, it invoked deep reasoning to analyze all the gathered information and provide a final recommendation to the human analyst. In this second scenario, I'll be giving the agent another complex multi-part instruction. Review all flagged fraud assessment for a certain account from the past 2 months, and for each, it should present the sentiment of the associated call transcript and confirm whether the caller's phone number is valid. Then it will highlight any patterns it detects and, drawing on the company's knowledge sources, recommend any follow-up actions. The agent was able to fully understand the question, identify the flagged trade, and clarify the observed patterns. It then provided recommended actions, including both immediate steps and ongoing measures, as well as any awareness actions needed. Finally, it clearly cited the knowledge sources it used, which were the company's standard operating procedures and the fraud alert bulletins. Now, let's take a look at the activity map to see the course of action the agent followed. First, it called the MCP server and ran a sophisticated query that joined multiple tables to retrieve all the necessary information. Then it invoked a phone lookup by calling an external API to gather phone-related details relevant to the trade. After that, it tapped into the internal knowledge sources to enrich its understanding and ultimately provided a very thorough and well-informed response back to the human analyst. In this third scenario, I'll show you a more straightforward example, one where the agent's understanding of the user's query prompts it to consult the company's SOPs and fraud bulletins for guidance. The agent will retrieve the relevant rules, interpret them in context, and provide a clear, authoritative answer. The agent effectively utilized its knowledge sources to gather all the relevant information from the supporting documents in response to the question asked. It then presented that information in a very clear and concise manner, making it easy for the human to process and decide on next steps. From the agent's perspective, it knew exactly which knowledge source to tap into, how to formulate the response, and it consistently cited the exact documents from which it retrieved the information. In this fourth scenario, I'll demonstrate the agent's ability to interpret complex instructions and translate them into sophisticated SQL queries to retrieve targeted information. So the agent clearly understood the question and then delivered the result back to the human. For example, it provided the monthly trend of the fraud risk score over the past year, noting that the average score for July is 5, since July is the only month we currently have data for. What's important to highlight here is that the agent was able to form a sophisticated query based purely on the natural language question it received, and then provide a clear and precise response. I just wanted to highlight that capability. In this fifth scenario, I'll highlight how the agent can not only read information, but also perform other CRUD operations. In this case, updating an existing record. Based on the instruction, the agent will locate the fraud assessment, update the status accordingly, insert my name in the comments field, and then confirm the changes, all while respecting the strict update rules built into its instructions. Before running the demo, I wanted to quickly show the fraud assessment table. As you can see, the reviewed column and the user comments are currently empty for all the fraud assessments. Now let's give a command to update the fraud assessment for trade alert 9101 as reviewed and add my name as the reviewer in the comments. You will see that once the agent has processed that command, we can quickly refresh the table. After refreshing, you will notice that the reviewed column is now updated and the user comments reflect my name. Essentially, the agent reads the fraud assessment, identifies the unique ID, and then runs an update command to modify the record accordingly. In the final scenario, I'll be demonstrating how the guardrails built into the agent's instruction prevent it from performing any unauthorized actions, such as deleting a record or removing a comment from an assessment. I will issue a request that violates these rules, and you'll see the agent respond politely, explaining it is not authorized to perform that change, thereby proving the safeguards work exactly as intended. This demonstration shows that if you try to run any unauthorized command, for example, attempting to delete a certain record, the agent is explicitly instructed not to comply. So while it might initially read the command, it will simply stop at that point and refuse to take any further action. Before I wrap up the demo, I also want to mention that this agent can be published to a variety of channels, whether it is popular Microsoft collaboration tools like Teams and SharePoint, external messaging apps such as Facebook, Slack, and Telegram, or even business platforms like Salesforce for CRM or ServiceNow for ITSM. This flexibility means you can meet users where they already work without changing their preferred tools or workflows. Let's talk results. With automation, organizations are seeing 20 to 30% faster case resolutions. In one travel industry case study, analyst productivity jumped 24% in a single year. Negative news and external research that used to take hours now reduced by up to 90%. Another leading fintech firm cut their fraud losses by 11% after rolling out AI-powered risk models. And a large travel company saw an 850% return on investment and over $90 million in fraud savings after deploying AI-enabled reviews. So this isn't just about working faster. It's about catching more fraud, reducing backlogs, and keeping your best analysts focused on what really matters, all while saving real dollars. So why Copilot Studio and Power Platform? Security is enterprise grade and Azure native. Data loss prevention, compliance controls, and responsible AI are all built in. You get full audit trails and admin controls, so nothing slips by. But the real power is speed. With low code, you can deploy new fraud agents in weeks, not months. This solution is simple, but it is just the beginning. Imagine agents that auto triage alerts, visualize relationships, trigger workflows, and even learn from new fraud patterns. You can extend this same approach to anti-money laundering, regulatory reports, and customer support, and more. Build once, improve everywhere. Manual fraud research is slow, costly, and unsustainable. With autonomous agents, your teams work faster, smarter, and safer, saving money, cutting cost, and protecting customers. Ready to see what's possible? Like, subscribe, and follow for more on AI, automation, and fintech innovation. I'll be sharing more real world case studies, hands on demos, and practical solutions in my upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.